Season so far for Toronto. Yuzi Okunura goes for Detroit. 4 shutouts at the World Championships, was the MVP as the Finns beat Canada for gold last spring. Gord and MJ have your call.
Thank you, James, and welcome to Toronto on this Saturday night. For more than 40 years, the Leafs and Red Wings have played a home-and-home series to end the preseason.
Simon here going out to play center, not his usual wing position. And with John Tavares questionable to start the season, Sheldon Keefe getting a look at what his roster could look like if William Nylander plays in the middle on the second line with whatever wingers he likes to put there and sliding Kerfoot down. Taking a little bit of a trial run here against Detroit to see how he fares in the middle.
Austin Matthews, Michael Bunting, Mitch Marner start for Toronto. Joe Veleno, along with Jacob Perana and Philip Zadina for Detroit. Veleno right in the middle of a battle for a spot with the Red Wings. First round pick back in 2018, 30th overall. Morgan Riley snaps that pass ahead to Bunting. Incoming Bunting, and Jordan Oakley stays with him. Zadina back around for Albert Johansson. A strong Swedish flavor once again for the Red Wings, who have had a dozen Swedes play for them in the last 5 years. Not to mention all the ones who played for them before them.
They've had a pretty long track record of success pulling out of Sweden, Gord, and even a guy like Mo Seider, who played in Sweden prior to coming to Detroit.
Swedish scout Håkan Andersson has done great work for them over the last 20 years or so. Adam Ernie goes back. That puck picked up by Jared McIsaac. McIsaac trying to knock that free, does for Ernie. And back down by Gustav Lindstrom. And Hall goes back for Toronto. 4 of Toronto's D-men expected to start the year are over 30, including Hall. That pass is picked off by Jonathan Berggren and brought back the other way. Berggren, second round pick of Detroit a few years ago, plays it back in. Hall knocks that down for Nylander. And Nylander, a nifty move around Ernie, slides that pass ahead quickly to Adam Gaudette. Gaudette drops it off for Malgin. And Malgin sweeps that back in deep. Wyatt Newpower spins back. Newpower played Grand Rapids in the American League last year. Settles things down as the Red Wings change. Always enjoy preseason games for a lot of fans who don't get to a lot of games like. For a lot of folks, this is a chance to see the Leafs they don't get during the regular season.
Yeah, a little bit younger, kind of energy in the building, and for the Red Wings, they have some young guys in the lineup, have something to play for against Toronto's lineup.
Mark Giordano swings back. Knocked off his stick by Johansson. The centering pass goes to Toro Hirose. Hirose swings that back. The long shot by Johansson. Knocked away by Murray. Alex Kerfoot. Had that pass, is up in the center ice, gets it right back and sweeps that down to the Detroit zone. Red Wings missed the playoffs last year for the 6th consecutive year, after making the postseason for 25 straight before that. This will be Cubell. Back for TJ Brodie. That's turned over, and a quick chance for Giovanni Smith. Just missed on that. There's Lindstrom back with it. He's had a 2-0 lead on Detroit last night. Lost 4-2 on an empty net goal. And that was Detroit's basically opening night lineup against something less than that for Toronto. And tonight, the situation reversed. Brodie to Riley. Michael Bunting trying to dig it free. Stick with it by McIsaac. Deep pass goes to Zadina. Quick wide pass for McIsaac. The Nova Scotia native plays it back in. Here's Muzzin back with it. Turns it over to Zadina. And looks there for Veleno. Zadina back in the corner. Hall digging for it. That's moved out by Marner. Zadina gets that back ahead as Hall goes back. Here is Justin Hall, the right-hand shot, the only one in the Leaf D. Matthews drops it off for Marner. Now Marner works back around to feed that back in front. Matthews spins and shoots, and a save made by Okadora.
Greater sense of intensity down here for Toronto. This first line's been good their first couple of shifts. Matthews really skating.
Jussi Okunora is a player we've seen a lot, Mike.
Yep.
2-time gold medalist for Finland at the World Championship, an Olympic gold medalist, although he wasn't the starter for Team Finland in Beijing. Big hit in the corner there. Sandin stepped into Ernie. Giordano up for Nylander. It's broken up by Johansson and stolen back by Malgin. Now poked ahead by Jonathan Berggren. Lost the handle. Gaudette swings for it. Here is Malgin winding through the offensive zone. Swings it back across. Brody is shot. He hammered that wide. And Malgin back with it. Both these teams will open their season against Montreal. Toronto will be there on Wednesday. The Red Wings home to the Canadiens on Friday. Morgan Riley. Lead pass for Kelly Yarncrook. He's taken down. And Cross Hannes will get the interference penalty. And the Leafs will get the game's first power play 5 minutes and 10 seconds in.
Toronto has done an excellent job generating speed through the neutral zone through the first 5 minutes.
Detroit penalty number 74, 2 minutes, interference.
Yarncroke full head of steam, chips it past Hannes, and he just pokes at his foot, knocks him down, and the power play will go to work. Michael Bunting, in lieu of John Tavares, will be down in front of the net.
Now, Mike Tavares has been skating, and it's not been ruled out that he'll play in the opener on Wednesday.
He looked pretty brisk out there this morning.
Here's Marner. Drops it back to Nylander. He's had the #1 power play in the league last year. Detroit was worst in the NHL in the penalty kill. Matthews works in, feeds that down to Marner. Marner to Matthews, back to Marner. And Matthews crisscross, back at the point is Riley. To Marner, swings it across to Nylander, in shoots, and a glove save made by Okunora.
Lots of motion up top. You see the chemistry these 5 guys, or 4 plus Bunting, have out there. Mitch Marner sliding back and forth below the goal line, eventually gets it over to William Nylander and electing to shoot that one. Okunora spots it, makes the save, but you can just see the motion exploding the seams and giving different looks for Detroit.
Okunora, by the way, does have North American experience. He played 2 years at the University of Denver, was signed as a free agent by the Winnipeg Jets. Played a couple years in the American League for them. Well, going back to Europe, playing mostly in the KHL. But he's a highly decorated international goaltender. Matthews drops it back for Bunting. Back to Austin Matthews. To Marner, walks right in, feeds across to Nylander. Oh, what a stop by Okunora.
Like an empty net there. They weren't sure which one guy wanted to shoot in the empty net. Save.
Okunora's 31. Detroit did bring in Billy Husso this year from St. Louis as another goaltender. Malgin up ahead for Kerfoot to put that wide. Here's Gaudette. Adam Gaudette slides that down to Kerfoot. Banks that back to Yarncroke. Across he goes to Giordano. Mark Giordano is shot. He misses that wide through the traffic. Yarncroke back down to Kerfoot. Malgin back on it. Malgin to Giordano. Off the top is Yarncroke. Back to Kerfoot. Yarncroke. Giordano. Is it back in the corner to Malgin? Great pass there for Gaudette. Works it back across. Okunora got a stick on that. And it's knocked down the ice by Hirose. 10 seconds to go on the Toronto power play. Fired down by Hall. Okunora out to play it. Emil Viro bats at that. Viro's a young player the Red Wings like a lot. A third-round pick in 2020. Now the lead pass brought in by Zadina. Poke check there by Muzzin. Polino. With a stolen by Kemp, who plays it back to center ice. 2 shots for Toronto on that power play. And Vrana drops it back. Toronto will open with a busy week in Montreal Wednesday. Home to Washington on Thursday, and then home to Ottawa here on Saturday. So 3 and 4 nights to open the season. Detroit has to wait till Friday to start.
And nobody wants that, Corey. The last thing you want to do is wait around a couple extra days to get going. I want those days off somewhere in the middle of the season, not at the beginning.
Osterley slides that pass ahead, misfired for Kyle Criscolo, and icing called against Detroit.
Well, William Nylander has been very good in the preseason exhibition game schedule. Playing center here in kind of skill you have in center. Hasekamp, backhand saucer through the feet. Another good position. I'll stick handle around this guy, then make another saucer up the boards. He's all over it, makes it look so effortless. Already got a couple shots. That one, easy save. This one didn't quite get everything on it. Okunora robs him nonetheless.
He was a center primarily as a young player. Most forwards were. Punting, back to Marner. Back at the point, Riley slaps it back across to Brody. Brody looks back to Riley. Back down to TJ Brody. Riley with it. Great pass across. Matthews unloads, and a great stop there by Okunora.
That is just so pretty. The movement of the puck and the bodies in the offense zone ending up with a one-timer, the guy you want shooting it.
Here comes Matthews again. Stick coming in, shoots short side. Okunora the stop on that. Well, back at the point, Giordano, a hard shot that sticks to Okunora with Matthews looking for the loose puck. Good chance in the early going. Still no score between Detroit and Toronto.
Here in Toronto, but not for lack of opportunities for some of the best players in Toronto. Nylander's had a couple, so has Austin Matthews, who's coming out with a greater sense of purpose in this game. Moving his feet, moving his hands. This one, Gord, through, under, and back again. It's not supposed to look as easy as he makes it.
It gets overlooked, doesn't it, Mikey? I mean, he's obviously got a great shot, as good as there is in the league, but he's also 6'3", 220 pounds, can really move.
But he's one of those guys, because he is so big, he doesn't look like he's going as fast as he is. So he skates right past you.
He's actually shed a few pounds. He's down around 210 now.
They threw some to everybody else in Toronto. Apparently everybody else put on 10.
Then the next year they come back and they put on too much. So
yeah, that's right. The yo-yo continues.
There's Gaudette with it. A hard bump there from Giovanni Smith, and now Nylander poking at it. It's moved across by Jared McKaiser. Scolo had it knocked away by Giordano. And Gaudette plays it across to Sandin. So still some decisions to make, Mike, as Sandin swings it back. He'll be in the lineup in ink. Returned last night, so this is most of training camp. Grabs some sticks out of the batch, does a couple of stretches, and scores last night. Kerfoot back across to Yarncroke. Yarncroke drops it back to Muzzin. Shoots off a skate and wide. So Gaudette in the mix. As Engvall moves in. Engvall jumping into the preseason after missing most of it with an ankle injury he suffered skating informally right before the start of camp. So he gets a late look as well.
Feels like this is pretty close. The only decision to be made with Liljegren being hurt is Tavares' health, and then which one of the, or two of the Gaudette, Malgin, Robertson trio play on that second line if you want to go this way.
Zach Aston Reese still needs a contract if he makes the team. He's here on a PTO, professional tryout.
Funny, it's a foregone conclusion that he's got to get one, but he still doesn't have it.
Right. Foregone conclusions, no cash at the bank.
If it's so obvious, how about you just get it to me?
Aston Reese back with it. Lines that back to Brody and across to Riley. Pass went off Sedina's hand, and Riley gets it right back. Lead pass to Camp. Camp centering pass. Robey Kubel. Bounce to Aston Reese. Robey Kubel bats that back down in the Detroit zone. Picked up by Osterlund. 9 to go here in a scoreless first period. These teams played one of the craziest regular season games of last season in Detroit in February. 10-7 Toronto the final. Bunting. That back. Now a chance. Jumping in behind is Jonathan Berggren. Berggren busting in. Shoot! Score! Oh, hit the goalpost. Berggren looked back, thought he'd scored. The referee, Mitch Dunning, says no chance. Now a chance. Suter in. He does score. Pius Suter quickly comes back, snaps it home, and makes it 1-0 Detroit.
A release by Suter earlier with Berggren on the chance. He thinks he's got this one rolling puck, puts it up, but no, he goes post and out. Toronto never really gets reset. Another turnover in the neutral zone, and quick 2-on-1, an excellent shot short side. Tyler Bertuzzi's goal last night, Samsonov.
Yeah.
He goes right under the bar. where he gets caught moving laterally. Giordano can't close fast enough, and perfect crossbar post combination and in.
Pius Suter had a good first year for Detroit last year. Mike scored 15 goals for them coming over from Chicago.
They're waiting for Andrew Copp, one of their prize free agent signings, to get healthy so Pius Suter can play on the third line where they think he will be pretty good.
Copp had abdominal surgery. He'll be a ways yet. Now a chance in front for Gaudette. Roll that just wide. Lindstrom got a stick on him, and Jake Muzzin was knocked down and slow to get to his feet.
Yeah, flipped up top. And he's bleeding from the mouth area for sure. Get some repairs.
Puck is at the side of the goal, and O'Connor knocked that away from Engvall. Fifth bearing in, but Brody knocked that away. Nylander chips it there quickly for Riley, who flips it back down to the Detroit zone. Talking about that 10-7 game last year between these two, and that was a common occurrence, unfortunately, for Detroit last year. Brody shot deflects, it goes wide. I think it was 11, 10, and 9 in different games this year. Also gave up an 8th spot, and 6 times allowed 7 goals in the game. So 10 times last year, they allowed 7 or more goals in a game.
So what you're saying, they're one of the worst defensive teams in the league last year.
They gave up a lot.
And they thought that answer to Delkovich, but you don't even know, or Husso for that matter, if you play that way in front of them, how good they could be.
Right.
Got to give them a little support. Muzzin off the bench scored. Down to get some repairs as well.
Aston Reeves has his pocket picked by Zadina. Now Camp brings it back the other way. Up for Kubel. Chipped out by Jacob Vrana. Drops it back to Oshie for Vrana. That goes right on goal. Murray makes the stop. Better chance on the rebound for Zadina. And that's gloved by Murray. Pius Suter has his first of preseason. Detroit's got an early 1-0 lead on Toronto.
Jake Muzzin back in the lineup for the first game, and welcome back to preseason hockey. He gets a nasty tip of the stick right in the mouth and goes down, understandably bleeding.
It was Toro Hirose.
And you can see him swearing. It's all kinds of damage in there. And too much to try to put a little glue on it or something until the intermission. He's going to have to go get likely stitches, and Hirose got away with a for sure double minor.
Camp tries to disrupt things. He gets on the feet of Lindstrom there.
The corner door was just open.
Yes.
They hadn't shut it yet for the shovelers.
Preseason for everyone, Mike.
They were all warming up.
Brody banks it off the end boards. O'Connor sweeps that away. Here's a Kubel. And looked up winning with Colorado last year. He spins back, and Isaac steps into him. Here's Hall. Takes that strange bounce off the corner. Cass makes his way off, so Toronto in the midst of a change. Here as Matthews comes on. Brody feeds him. Matthews flies it back to Brody. Looks back across the Hall. Center that bounces off the stick of Matthews. Vrana, good pass there to Veleno. Veleno got tied up by Aston Reeves as Hall keeps the puck alive. Toronto in the midst of a change as Marner comes on. Now Veleno got bumped down by Matthews as he plays it in. Murray back around to Giordano. Matthews to Brody. He gave Brody to Austin Matthews. Works it 1-on-4. Got poke check. Suter back the other way for Ernie. And Ernie walks in. Rolling puck and shoots. Murray makes a stop on that. Bunting got tied up. Was knocked down by Vero. Here's Morgan Riley. His first year of an 8-year extension he signed. Rick wide pass to Nylander. Incomplete. Nylander shoots, scores! Nylander ties the game with a rocket.
William Nylander with a full head of steam is a dangerous sight for the defense. And here he comes late as a centerman. bad gap. Mostly's backed in. You give him the middle of the ice, and you can't close because you want to back up. And Nylander can beat any goaltender from inside the top of the circle. He just goes clean wrist or over the blocker of Okunora. But this is the one part of the game. If you can get Nylander the puck with a head of steam, with a bit of a gap, that is going to be good news for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He gets them on the board.
His third of the preseason, coming off a career high 34 goals last year, Mike. Second time in the last 3 years he's hit the 30-goal mark. Hard to believe he's in the 5th year of the 6-year deal he signed.
And what a good deal that ends up looking like now. Oh, Gaudette might be in.
Here comes Gaudette. In behind Lidstrom. Gaudette busts in, shoots from a sharp angle. Okunora makes the stop.
Just not enough speed. The angle was so strong coming off the wall. Gaudette couldn't get all the way to the front of the net.
Jarnkrok in, shoots at the goalpost. Now Riley fires, it's blocked. Back to pick it up with Brody. Isaac broke his stick. He makes his way off, and Okunora knocks it down. Brody lays it back down to Kerfoot. Kerfoot back across to Jarnkrok, plays it back. Riley, a hard shot. Okunora makes the stop. The referee stepped on a broken stick there and fell. Engvall picks it up. Engvall, centering pass, rolls right down. Okunora swings at that and pounces on the loose puck. 3:16 to go in the opening period. William Nylander has struck from the middle, playing center tonight on Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey on TSN.
Earlier today, John Tavares out on the ice, and having watched enough morning skates and practices, there's a difference between testing yourself and kind of keeping it in second or third gear and actually pushing yourself a little bit. And watching this, while he's not going to get hit hard by practice, he's stopping and starting, he's leaning on his shots, he's pushing it. He's not just kind of keeping it in cruise control, as he wants to make sure that he's going to play this week to be good to go. Well, watching that though, Gord, it tells me he's more likely to play than not, unless something starts hurting the next couple of days. So Sheldon Keefe, and of course the management team of the Toronto Maple Leafs, as Sheldon Keefe talked about, sitting in some of the meetings, talking about the cap situation and roster permutations and how that'll all play itself out.
Yeah, he said he would leave the room and sometimes not really know
what's going on. So they'll have to work out some of those details.
If you want to get right down to it, Mike, it's pretty simple. You can only have $82.5 million worth of healthy players on the roster at any time.
Right.
Now, how you get there gets complicated, but that's the bottom line of it. That's all you can have.
Yeah, but what constitutes an injured player also gets a little harder to define, whether on the LTIR and all those different things. But if everyone's healthy, there are some hard decisions to make, and I'm not sure Toronto can carry much more than 20 players. So you might see an active up and down shuttle to the Marlies on days off when the team is in Toronto, saving every cent they can.
Yeah, and costing players that get sent up and down.
Oh, it's not fun for anybody. Even if it's a paper transaction.
Yeah, well.
But if it's a guy on a one-way deal, he'll actually get a bit of a pay raise because there's no escrow in the minors.
But if you're not,
then get a one-way deal.
Okay, we're out with it. Tell guys an entry-level contract that they can't do that.
Next time.
And of course, when you talk about the calculus for the roster, Nick Robertson, still in that situation, doesn't need waivers.
Yeah, and that is a reality this time of year. You'd like to think just the best 20 skaters will always be on the team, but waivers is a consideration.
Cabell flips that down, and back to pick it up as Osterley. That'll be a calculation for Detroit, too. With their final few roster spots, guys that need waivers and guys that don't.
Well, thank goodness they got Robert Hagg, who they signed this summer, who got hit in the head in the red and white game. And hasn't been back on the ice, just starting to get cleared for practice again. So that's good news for the Wings.
Suter got spun around by Brody, but stays on the puck. There's that back down to Berggren. Back the other way by Camp. He's on McIsaac, steps around him. Camp walks in, puts it back in front. And Okunora hangs on to that.
Good little rush by Camp there. We know he's an excellent defensive player, and it looks like if the current lineup holds, he will set up the fourth line with two very defensive physical wingers, almost like an ultimate shutdown line comp with a couple hyphen guys. Aston Reef and Ove Kubel. They're going to be out there to be physical, be good defensively, make life miserable on the other team's best lines, and chip in a little bit of offense, but that won't be their primary responsibility.
Camp chipped in 11 goals last year. Sheldon Keefe was really comfortable with him, wasn't he?
Yeah, right away. And you can tell when a coach trusts someone, and he earned that trust early.
Took a ton of defensive zone face-offs, which took the load off Matthews and Tavares. All up ahead for Bunting. Marner was the #1 face-off team in the league last year. Matthews tried to send it up to Marner.
Not having Jason Spezza around will hurt that number a little bit.
Ooh, look out. Johnson was, Andreasen was clipped up high, and a penalty coming to Toronto, so they missed the one on Muzzin. But Pontus Andreasen had lost his helmet and then got high sticked on the play. They're checking on him.
And if Bunting would have just left him, Andreasen would have to leave the ice because he had the helmet off. But he caught him on the flyby.
Toronto number 58 has 2 minor penalties. The first penalty, roughing, removing his opponent's helmet. And the second penalty, 2 minutes for high sticking.
So I didn't see the arms go up for removing the helmet, but I do like this call being introduced into the NHL because guys know now, if I flick your helmet off and you're in the defensive zone, it's hard to get back on properly. So you got to leave. We got a bit of a power play situation. Guys do it on purpose. And so Bunting gets called in the first one, and then the high stick. Obviously, no question, right in the nose.
To which Jake Muzzin says,
"What about me?"
Right. A chance for Zadina with a quick shot at Curry. The save with Suter standing right on top of the crease.
So it's a harder call to make. The intent of intentionally taking a helmet off is a tricky one to be sure of. Like that one, I mean, it was more of a forearm to the back of the head that dragged the helmet off.
So a 4-minute bad bounce off the end boards. O'Connor hustles back, and blocking that shot was Johansson. His Kerfoot busted him with the arm broke.
O'Connor wants no more part of this end. He's got a door open in one corner. He's got bad bounces off the back wall in the next minute.
You had the bad bounce at the corner stanchion. Giordano snaps that pass ahead. Below back the other way, but Toronto was way ahead of the play offside. They've got to tag back up, and that gives Kerfoot a chance to slide it across to Giordano. Lead pass to Kerfoot, short-handed, walking in, shoots, O'Connor save, and he held it long enough. It'll be a face-off in the Detroit zone.
Smart plays by the Leafs, knowing that Toronto was offside and Leno didn't want to touch it, so Kerfoot kicks it back to Morgan Rielly, then takes a route that maybe makes him an option. Detroit kind of falls asleep, making a change, and a good hard pass from Rielly cues that up. Here's the earlier bounce. That is a strange carom. I'm gonna put my old protractor to work on the angles for that one. There's Kerfoot, little no-look wrister trying to get it through Okunora.
Here's Matthews.
Oh, Matthews, Nylander late in the period combination.
Yeah, and Nylander alone in front, but tied up there. As Hirose managed to hold off that shot. Detroit will have 2 minutes and 56 seconds of power play time to carry over into the second period.
Entertaining period, felt fast. Toronto a little bit more intense and engaged than they have been previously, and top players have come to play for the Leafs against a short squad in Detroit.
1-1 the score. Coming up is our first intermission with your host, James Duff. Red Wings open the scoring on P.S. Suter's first of the preseason, but then William Nylander gets his third as Toronto outshot Detroit 11-8 in that first period. The Red Wings will be on the power play to start the second. Gord Miller with Mike Johnson. We began the show talking about William Nylander playing in the middle. He's looked good so far, Mike.
He's been dynamic as you would expect him to be, and you're trying to think, okay, well, how does his game fit into playing center? Now, it is a bit of a depleted roster, but still, you see the touches down low where he's got so much confidence and poise with the puck, has a good outlet, makes good transition plays, and that's what you want your center to be, a good defensive, responsible player. Now, we know what he can do on the power play. We know what he can do offensively, and he was all over Detroit Red Wing goal. And the one thing you don't want to get lost, when William Nylander moves to center is the ability to take zone entry. You don't want to be so far behind the play that he doesn't get to do this. Skate it in on his own, take guys one-on-one, shoot to score, and make plays like that. A pretty good period. And Gord, 5-2, a tidy 71% on faceoffs is something that Sheldon Keefe can get behind.
He's also been above 50% on draws, Mike, each of the last 5 years.
Now, I would probably make some arguments. Some of that was on the power play and the offensive zone and kind of in spots where you'd be more likely to win it, but 50% is 50%.
Yeah.
It's obviously not a problem for him, as Toronto still has 2:56 to kill.
But Jake Muzzin is back out. And the Red Wings 2:56 of power play time to start the second period. There's Toronto with it. It's tied up by Hall. And Marner swings that back to Muzzin, has time, and sends it back down to the Red Wing zone.
It's almost important that Muzzin was able to get back and finish this game because he needs some reps, right?
Right.
Hasn't played yet. He needs the minutes in game situations.
Milano drops it off to Johansson. Fires that back down to the Toronto zone. Red Wings are hopeful that Andrew Kopp, who you talked about in the first period, may play in the opener on Friday. He had abdominal/hernia surgery recently, but they're hopeful that 5 weeks later he can start the regular season.
It would be significant because they have him penciled in as their second-line center behind Dylan Larkin.
Toronto swats at that. And the first minor penalty to Michael Bunting is over. Rosie back to McIsaac. Brings it across to Berggren. This will not be Detroit's power play on Friday against Montreal. Rosie brings it down to Andreasen, who was on the receiving end of that Bunting high stick. One shot the first power play for Detroit. Berggren back with it. Picked off by Aston Reese. Brody knocks it free. And Giordano has time and just slaps it back down the ice. Jared McIsaac, gold medalist with Canada at the 2020 World Junior Championship. Drop that back. Rosie swings it across. Cross Ennis. Muzzin. Battles for that. And Nylander got that to the line. Not quite out. It's a penalty kill time as well for Nylander.
And you can see Detroit having a hard time dealing with the zone entries and the pressure on the initial rush. Throwing a lot of battles getting some easy clears on the penalty kill.
50 seconds to go on the Red Wings power play. Zadina. Flips that back in. Muzzin pokes at it. Camp. Around the boards. Johansson. Brings that rink wide. Veleno. Knocked back. Johansson where it's into Veleno. Can't get a shot away. Now gathers it back up. Picked off by Marner. Muzzin gets to it. Marner with time for Hall. And Toronto clears it out. Knocked in by Camp. Camp gets there first for the Leafs. Knocked down by Kerfoot. Brings that back to Riley. Final seconds now of this 4-minute power play for Detroit. So 2 shots total, none on the second half. And Bunting steps back on. Steven centered that, knocked down by Kerfoot, and now Kerfoot winds out. Kerfoot moves it. Now it's been a while since the big guns for Toronto played. Matthews was parked on the bench since late in the first period. That centering pass goes up like a yarn croak, and here's Riley with it. Morgan Riley lays that back to Engvall. Engvall pivots back. Drops it off to Matthews. Sends that back to Brody. That wrist shot goes off the foot of Ernie's second try off the outside of the goal. Here's Zadina. Up ahead for Ernie. Got a step on Morgan Riley. Ernie in, shoots! And Murray fights that off. Marner turns it over. And that centering pass from Marcus Colo goes astray. Adam Ernie back at center ice with him. Marcus Colo. He played for Buffalo 9 games 4 years ago. Played 6 games for Detroit last year. Now Matthews in, shoots! And Okadora the stop on that. Matthews sent flying. Hanna sends it rink wide to Vero. Rasmus Sandin spins back in the corner. Moves that back for Giordano. That's picked up by Hannes. Back at the point. Osterley with it. Lots of traffic. Osterley. Lays it back around. Now Hirose. Slides it right back down to the Toronto zone for Sandin, who signed his new contract just a couple of days ago. And Hirose bats it in.
Well, it's fortunate for Sandin. He got in for a couple of days and was able to play back-to-back games to kind of get up to speed right away.
Bunting works it back in for Nylander. Remember when training camp was 5 weeks long?
Oh, nightmare fuel. The worst.
You're still scarred by it, aren't you?
Never ending. Get your 8 or 10 games, but you have about 10 days of practice before you got to one of them.
Now it's like 3 days, isn't it?
The best. So many inter-squad games back then. Now it's a couple days, fitness, off you go, start playing.
Loose puck in front for Suter with a backhand shot. Murray makes the stop on that and is able to hang on.
Score national pride in your pocket with the 50th Anniversary Summit Series commemorative circulation coin from the Royal Canadian Mint.
Austin Matthews skating well off the puck, and when he does this, he is so dangerous. Takes puck in space, that quick release, and it seems almost inevitable he's going to get one tonight when he's moving around the ice. The puck's finding him. That shot, as good as there is in the world,
Really is something, isn't it? I mean,
it's amazing. You know how we know it's great, but when you talk to players around the league, all around the league, they all say, "I watch Matthews the way he shoots it."
Camp drops it off to Aston Reese, centers it. That's knocked away by O'Connor.
Now, watching is all fine and dandy. Trying to replicate it something else entirely, but they know that he can do it a little bit different, in a special kind of way.
And pass called in the offensive zone for Toronto. And of course, Austin Matthews, 60 goals last year. First player in a decade to do that. The most goals in the league since 2019.
And he's stretching it out on Draisaitl. That's a pretty big gap. Almost 20 goals.
We've talked about it. It's been nearly 30 years since the player scored 60 goals in back-to-back years. That was Pavel Bure in 93 and then again in 94.
Now, you have to do it the whole year, but he scored well over a 60-goal pace in the shortened season. He doesn't get enough games to get there.
Right.
Had he played 80, he would have been over 60.
It's interesting talking to goaltenders that practice against them about Matthews' shot. And the big thing they say, Mike, is how unpredictable it is.
Right.
You don't know where it's going. Because it's so close to his feet. Osterley works it and shoots. And Murray makes the stop on that.
It's like Roger Federer's serve. Same toss, same release. You don't know where it's going. Austin Matthews leans on it. Can't pick it up. Find out where it's headed.
13:43 to go in the second period. A 1-1 tie between Toronto and Detroit.
No, I'm good.
They're just giving them away.
I feel like I ordered more than this.
Yeah.
In comes Camp with a chance.
That's pretty good, guys.
I got to say, the whole video, if you get a chance to see it, of Nylander and Bunting working the drive-through window is pretty fun.
Now, did Morgan Riley go with Bobby Scarborough? I think I got trademarks on that, don't I?
I'm pretty sure, well, no, you're Mikey Scarborough.
Apparently.
But the one where they forgot to give the person their order was the highlight. Hall drops it back to Muzzin. Tipped right on. O'Connor there. Aubé-Kubel couldn't reach the rebound. Piscolo got knocked down in the corner by Aubé-Kubel. Gets it back, tries to clear that up. Knocked down by Muzzin. Kerfoot flies it back to Hall. Hall to Kerfoot. Swings it back around to Engvall. Osterley turns it over to Jarnkrok. Piscolo, Giovanni Smith, and Detroit can't get the puck out. Kerfoot finally goes off the leg of Wyatt Newpower. Now Newpower is jawing there with Kerfoot. In comes Engvall. Tied up along the boards by Piscolo. And Smith sends it back down to the Toronto zone. Engvall works it and shoots. Knocked away by Okunora. There's Pia Suter. Open the scoring in this game. Works in, trying to center it and rolls wide. Lindstrom. The puck over to Matthews, and Matthews chips it there for Brody. Riley up ahead for Marner. Chips out at center ice, and it bounces into the Detroit bench. So the Red Wings have made some changes on the ice. Have made a change behind the bench as well. It's almost like a trade. Derek Malone comes over from Tampa, where he was an assistant coach. Becomes the head coach in Detroit. Jeff Blashill, who was the head coach in Detroit, goes to Tampa as an assistant. And Malone is tasked with the job of trying to get Detroit back to the playoffs. Steve Yzerman, along with Jim Devellano on the left, looking on. It was nearly 40 years ago, or more than 40 years ago, actually, that Jim Devellano, then the GM of Detroit, called Jerry McNamara, the Leafs general manager, said, how about we do a home-and-home at the end of the preseason? The two teams have been doing it ever since. Now Marner, a shot that goes wide. Bunting to Marner. Back at the point is Sandin. Little spin around by Sandin.
He likes that little spin around to his backhand up there.
Here's Marner with it now. Back to
all the
Matthews.
space.
Matthews walks right in, holds and shoots, and just missed his spot.
That is a busted coverage. When you have Austin Matthews in the offensive zone, puck on a stick, and no one within 20 feet of him.
Literally the last person in the league you want to do that with.
And they're trying to talk it out right now. Hirose and Oshie, when they make a switch up top there, Oshie want Hirose to take him and let Oshie take Sandin down by the net. And it was finally Hirose. He does actually get a stick on that, but you don't want to let Austin Matthews take multiple looks and get inside the faceoff circle before releasing the puck. Got to call off a switch there, get a forward out on him quicker than that.
Here's Gaudette with it. Gaudette winds in, shoots, that rolls down. Okunora knocks that away. Gaudette was spilled in the corner. Nylander back on it. On the line, held by Hall. Muzzin steps up for Nylander. William Nylander. Trooping his way through the offensive zone, still on it, centers it. Knocked down by Veleno.
It's like he's playing summer hockey, but it's an NHL exhibition game. It looks so easy for him.
Lead pass to Aston Reese. Drops it off to Camp with a shot that was blocked by McIsaac. They took the play to Jared McIsaac, and now Zadina back with it. Zadina bumped there by Nylander. Aubé-Kubel with it now, drops it off to Brody. That centering pass broke up. Here's Aubé-Kubel to Aston Reese. Centers it. Camp tapped that wide. Aubé-Kubel tries to dig that free. Zach Aston Reese back on it. Out the line by TJ Brody. Down he goes to Aston Reese. Tied up by Suter. Now Camp. Back in the corner is Aston Reese. Long time in the offensive zone for Toronto. Now rink wide is Sandin.
These Red Wings have been out there for coming up on 2 minutes scored.
Yeah.
Thank goodness that's not an icing. They're barely going to get to the bench.
They're staggering back to it now. Long lead pass for Kerr, but Oshie comes on across on him, and now it's knocked down by Hero in front. And Ernie has it back for the Red Wings. High in the air to center ice. Engvall drops that back to Kerfoot for Sandin. Engvall spins back along the board. Giordano centers it, goes off the skate of Engvall, and Ernie has it back. Ernie, chip set by Hall. Puts it back down to the loose zone. Inside 8.5 to go in the second period. That long shot by Newpower. Knocked away by Murray. Mulligan. Chip sets a curve foot back for Dennis Mulligan.
Oh, he got him.
Winds his way in, gets a stab, scores! What a dash by Dennis Mulligan, and Toronto takes the lead. Hello.
What was that? What a rush. Mulligan acts like he's going to take it wide. New Power gets a little bit too far out there, and he cuts back up the middle and just blistering speed turns him cleanly. How about this little flip and go to space and keep the puck away from him? No one can get a stick on him. Backhand, forehand, get it up quickly over O'Connor's shoulder for the goal. That is a brilliant individual effort.
That's his 4th goal of the preseason, Mike. And
that puts him to a tie for the preseason scoring lead.
Yeah, 8 points. By the way, the Red Wings make a planned goalie change. Victor Brassberg comes in now in place of O'Connor. Brassberg, a 6th-round pick of the Red Wings in 2018. Spent last year with Grand Rapids of the American League. So,
wow.
O'Connor leaves after giving a highlight reel goal to Mulligan.
That was something. Jeff O'Neill's taking a call. Gino Mulligan is on fire right now.
Well, you know what, Mike? We've seen him before internationally.
Yeah.
He's scored in Europe consistently. It just hasn't translated to the NHL yet. But it has so far this preseason, and that you talked about that race for the last few roster spots gets really interesting.
And you got to think after this preseason, if Mulligan is sent to the minors, he won't clear waivers.
Moved in by Dominic Scheib. And now Murray can set up the side of the net and hangs on. Dennis Mulligan, the 25-year-old from Switzerland, goes end to end and scores to make it 2-1 Toronto on Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey on TSN. James will continue to monitor that story as time goes along. Here a 2-1 lead for Toronto on Detroit. The final preseason game for both teams. Because of Cabell with a shot off a stick, up and out of play.
This fourth line's finding a little bit of their chemistry, you know, figuring out where each other want to go, how they want to play, when to apply their speed, when to get physical. And this is what fourth lines do, right? Defensive zone face-off, create a rush chance, get an offensive zone fit, draw, and then get off the ice and put Matthews' line out there. Mission accomplished. That they're not getting any points, but the coaches will know that they have done their job.
How about Obey Cabell goes on waivers from Philadelphia? They put him on waivers, Colorado claims him, and he wins the cup.
Finding a spot, someone who believes in you, the right fit.
There's Riley with it for Michael Bunting. Something you may be watching baseball tonight. Here it's 2-1 Toronto on the Red Wings, the final preseason game for both teams. Marner swoops to the cross, that's knocked away by Hirose. Dennis Mulligan battling for a roster spot. Toronto had just scored a highlight reel goal to make it 2-1. Can Mulligan and Robertson both be on the roster to start the season?
Not if Tavares is healthy.
Coach shoots it, trickles down, and Victor Brassberg makes the save on that.
If Tavares is healthy, then Nylander plays on the wing, and then there's only one spot available.
Right.
And whether it's Mulligan, who's been great, or Robertson, who's been fantastic. But if Robertson's not going to play, he's not going to be on the NHL team, right? He's going to be down on the Marlies, playing games, with likely to get called back up. Only one of the two. We're not even having mentioned Wayne Simmons, who's trying to find a spot as well. But I don't see both of them starting if Tavares is healthy.
There is, as you mentioned earlier, the matter of waivers,
which I would have said, I did say last night that Robertson's made the team.
You did make a definitive statement.
I did, but that was under the assumption that Tavares wasn't going to play, and it would be Mulligan and Robertson. But that may not be the case after what we saw out of Tavares this morning.
It's a nice problem to have, though.
It is. Healthy bodies is a good thing. Good players is a good thing.
But you got to make all the beans fit into the jar.
They got a very good team counter here, though.
They do. And he helped build the jar. Brendan Pritham, the Leafs cat manager, was with the NHL when this CBA was written.
What a pass by Giordano. Backhand scoop to the middle on the tape.
Nylander chips it back down to the Detroit zone. All back to Muzzin. Jake Muzzin moves away from Ernie and slides out ahead to Mulligan. Jake Muzzin in his 5th year with the Leafs now.
That's gone quickly.
Buying that train with LA. Carl Grundstrom. Jersey. And the 1st round pick. As Muzzin shoots. Saved by Brandstrom and a chance for Gaudette. Put that wide. Gaudette swings across the top. That's broken up. And knocked back to center ice. Zadina has it back. Zadina 10 goals last year for Detroit.
Waiting on him to pop.
He had 44 goals in 57 games his last year in junior. Picked 6th overall. 4:13 to go here. In the second period, Toronto a 2-1 lead. Just days away from the Leafs' home opener on Thursday night against the Washington Capitals. We'll have it for you here on TSN 4 at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Washington Capitals. Their general manager, Brian McClellan, said we're one of the older teams in the league that still has a chance to win the Cup. And there is Philip Zadina. Mike, we talked about it. He was picked 6th overall in the 2018 draft. The next pick was Quinn Hughes, who played at the University of Michigan.
Right.
And that has been brought up by Red Wings fans more than once.
Zadina famously said he was going to make all the teams who did not draft him pay by filling the nets, which I respect the comment and the confidence and the thought, but
it just hasn't, for whatever reason.
He just doesn't get himself in scoring positions with the puck often enough. He can clearly shoot it, as evidenced by his goal totals earlier pre-NHL. Just doesn't get him in scoring position often enough.
Riley swings back. Here's Morgan Riley. More games the Leafs than any current player on the Toronto roster. That's fired wide. Now Hall back to pick it up. Does one righty on B concern you at all?
Well, TJ Brodie is a righty, basically. He's played so long on the right side, so although he's a lefty, it's not like anyone's playing out of position. Brodie's always been on the right for years. So, not ideal, but Liljegren will be back eventually, and they'll have 2 options there with Hall as well. So, I guess I'm saying no, because Brodie's been so proficient at it over his career.
Kind of spins and shoots, that's blocked, and now Nylander back with Matthews and Bunting. Austin Matthews busting it and shoots, and Victor Brandstrom gets a close-up look at that shot that knocked the stick out of his hand. Matthews back with it. Back down to Nylander, drops it back, and a hard shot there by Sandin, and Brandstrom fights that off. Brandstrom still with no stick. Matthews back with it. Hannes picks off that pass, drops it back for Hirose.
And 4 forwards out here. Mitch Marner playing defense, in case you're wondering what Nylander's doing out here with the big guys. So Sheldon keeps slipping in one of the experiments quickly. Now this is the interesting part, where Marner's playing defense. That's where it gets a little bit more interesting. Not in the offensive zone.
Crook had to hopstock over the puck to stop a too many men on the ice penalty. Berggren drops it back, and it's hammered wide by Pia Suter. And these Red Wings, most of whom are targeted to go back to Grand Rapids and elsewhere, hold their own against Toronto's top lineup.
Very much like last night's game, where it was all Detroit starting lineup and a lot of the Marlies. in a very close game that Detroit just squeezed out late.
Icing call against Toronto. 1:45 to go in the second period.
So Austin Matthews has been all around it in this game. You can see him, he almost puts his head down here. Get the leg out, get the shoulders out, and protect the puck on Johansson. And still with his hands that close together, can put that much velocity on the shot. You got to have your hands together to get the puck way out away from the checker, but that makes it very difficult to shoot it with any sort of power, unless you're Austin Matthews.
Chance now for Kerfoot. Something there with Wyatt Newpower. And here is Verano with it. This is a guy who just scores. And there's nothing wrong with that, but he is a pure goal scorer.
And a lot of it 5-on-5.
Right. Camp lines that back to Ingvall, fans on the shot. And Aubé-Kubel back with it. Centers it for Brody. The puck lifted off his stick by Giovanni Smith. Verano was hurt 10 minutes into the first scrimmage last year. Shoulder injury knocked him out for 3 months.
Traded for Anthony Manto, also went out with a shoulder injury, shoulder surgery as well. Both teams kind of robbed of their asset right after getting traded for.
Osterley drops it back down for Piscolo. And Riley chips out ahead. Nylander spins that back to Hall. Nylander, whoa, what a move there.
Oh, no.
Walks right in again. And McIsaac finally got a stick on that to knock it away. Here's Riley back with it. Back to Hall. Hall to Riley, shoots, goes off a leg. Now the other way, a penalty coming. Dominic Shine pulls his way in. That is against the Leafs as Shine gets that away. And Detroit will get a power play late in the period again. Interference will be the call against Toronto with 6 seconds to go in the second period.
It's going to be goalie interference on Gaudette. Trying to get around the front of the net. Prior to this, how about William Nylander? Just slides through 2, and then he goes with the no move, good move. Just kind of, Jyrki Lumme special, shuffle the feet, but just try to slide right on through.
Wow.
He is having a field day out here, playing so well. And this got it, just loses track of where he is. Quick skates with the goaltender. Accidental, but absolutely a penalty.
Bonus points for the Jyrki Lumme reference there. That's
what he did. He would just skate at you and keep shaking his head until you went out of the way.
Off the draws and into the shot. Deflects up and out. So goal interference is the call against Gaudette.
Penalty kill gets a little bit of workout here to end the period, and of course to start the next.
No surprise, Camp takes the draw. It's kicked out, and the Red Wings will once again start a period of the power play for a stretch. 1:54 coming up to start the third period. 2-1 the score after 2 periods of play. Coming up, our second intermission with James Duff. Dennis Malgin gets his 4th of the playoffs, his 8th point of the preseason. Preseason, not playoffs, I should mention. But Malgin's end-to-end goal, the only one of that period, a 2-1 Toronto lead. Gord Miller back with Mike Johnson. Leaf coach Sheldon Keefe, Mike, talked about what he wanted to see tonight. He wanted to see cohesion and possession. We've seen both.
Yeah, it's been really good for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, we understand it's not a full Detroit lineup, but you can only play against who you're playing against. And Sheldon Keefe wanted more speed and pace through the neutral zone, attack with control and possession. And really, from the opening puck drop, it has been a really nice job of pucks on the stick, good routes, good timing, crisp plays, and attacking with zone possession. Hasn't resulted in a ton of goals, but when you give this kind of skill that Toronto has, the puck through the neutral zone with speed, good things will happen eventually. And they have stuck with it. They haven't cheated. They haven't blown the zone. They haven't gotten too individual. It has been very much within the team concept, but playing with that pace and possession that Sheldon Keefe's looking for as they get ready for opening night.
And they'll be shorthanded for 1:54 to start this third period, same as the start of the second period, shorthanded for a length of time. Leafs open in Montreal on Wednesday. The home opener here on Thursday. We'll have it for you on CSN. Red Wings starting against Montreal on Friday night at home. With the hope of better things ahead for the Red Wings. As Vrana drops that back to Johansson. To Zadina. Suter to Zadina. Back for Pia Suter. Vrana taps that back in front. A hard pass for Veleno. Gets it back, spins and shoots and puts that high. Here's Hall back on it. Gets that to the line and gets past Vrana. Marner was almost away. He's finished 4th overall last year. Number 2 in goals for. Vrana banks it back. Johansson lines and shoots. Tipped just wide by Veleno.
Pretty slick by Johansson there, just dancing around the defender.
Second round pick of the trade with Johansson. There's a kicker behind on Marner. Kaiser drops it back. Zadina's shot. Murray gets a shoulder on that. And Jarnkrok sends it down.
Marner's hot, not getting a call on the hook of the neutral zone. He vented that frustration, that cross check he laid on the Red Wings player at the blue line.
Perosi drops that back to Hannes. 20 seconds to go in the Detroit power play. Perosi drops that back. Here's Hannes. Centered, tipped wide by Hirose. Kerfoot got that clearing attempt go off his skate. Giordano gets to it. Picked up by Hannes, the centering pass, broken up by Kerfoot. 2 shots for Detroit in the power play as Jarnkrok brings it out. Calle Jarnkrok.
They got to be a hold there, I would think.
And the referee's arm is in the air as Hirose touches up. And referee Mike Johnson with the correct call. Holding it is against the Red Wings.
You lose body position. Andreasen does. Reach with your bottom hand, wrap it around the guy's hip.
26, minor penalty holding.
And don't let go anytime soon. You should not look confused when you get called for a penalty. As Jarnkrok tries to get his feet moving. Here you see the reach. And there you see the hold, the latching onto the hip.
Nylander back for Riley. Morgan Riley to Matthews to the back of the net. Austin Matthews with a lightning strike on the setup from Marner. And 8 seconds in the power play. It's 3-1 Toronto.
It was just a matter of time. Seemed almost inevitable he was going to score. But the play is made here by William Nylander. The patience and poise at the blue line just to handle the puck, draw in one guy, and there's a little bump pass. Colorado Avalanche really liked this little bump play last year as McKinnon to Kadri often shooting in there on the other side, McCarr to McKinnon. And Marner to Matthews, the one-timer. Everyone thinks wrist, they don't think of slappers. There's a half slapper, one-timer, top glove for the power play goal. Motion off the one face-off or a quick strike.
6th shot of the game. And here comes Riley on the lead pass from Marner. Riley drops it back. That's chipped out. And Matthews back on it. Golo. Matthews had 51 goals in a 50-game stretch last year between November and April. And finished with a nice, tidy 60.
You wonder if he goes through the summer, okay, what would be a good year for him if he thinks about these things individually? You're always trying to get better, but is it even reasonable to think, well, I need to get better than 60 to have a good goal-scoring season? Back-to-back hasn't been done since you mentioned, since Pavel Bure.
He shattered the franchise goal record. And now Hall winds in. Hall drops it back. Malkin back on. Marner Matthews. We've said quite a bit over the last couple of years. Now Muzzin, ring wide for Malkin. Whereas McIsaac plays out ahead. Sandin around for Giordano. Bay Kubel swings it back in. Linson goes back, being trailed there by Camp. Picked up at center ice by Sandin. And Rasmus Sandin moves it and fires it down. Here's Suter with it. Lead pass for Toronto is broken up by Riley. Giordano taps it back for Morgan Riley. We had to be careful with that. And Giordano back with it. Leafs will go west fairly early on in the season. In late October. Berggren in, shoots. The stop made by Murray.
You know, if you're going to have to go out west once or twice in the season, you don't mind going out a little early. Get everyone together. Nice weather. You got Vegas and California, late October. As a player, you always spot those trips, right? What's the schedule around Christmas?
Yeah.
What do we have around the All-Star game? When do I go back to my hometown, wherever your hometown is? And then when do we get out to California, Arizona, Vegas, Nashville, Dallas?
Brought in by Chris Colo. That was blocked by Muzzin.
Strong play, Jake Muzzin. Hang in there.
Back up there with Justin Hall. And Sheldon keep talking today about hoping that Hall and Muzzin can get their chemistry back. Both struggled at times last year.
Some of that is health related, though. When you dig in the numbers, though, they weren't as bad as maybe the goals scored against might lead you to believe.
Matthews works in along with Marner. Drops it back. Marner swings it back in front. Just missed Bunting with that pass. And Sandin back for it. Lead pass for Bunting misfired. And icing called against Toronto.
Bunting and Gianni Smith. Giovanni Smith very tough as he's got a little something going in Austin Matthews' goal. I have to have a conversation with Osterley, but it's Giovanni Smith and Bunting.
A couple of offsetting minor penalties. 13:50 to go in the third period. Austin Matthews to take Toronto to a 3-1 lead.
The roughing is for each right here. That's just the roughing. But as Smith grabs the face mask, as you said it, I guess 2 for face masking. Grabbing the visor like that. You want to steer clear of that. Guys get their head wrenched around, and that was worth the extra 2. And so Toronto goes back to the power play that just scored. And it will be Kerfoot stepping into the net front spot that Bunting usually takes.
Took 8 seconds for Matthews to score in the last power play. But this time lifted out. Finds Zadina. So they call it unsportsmanlike because there is no face masking penalty in hockey.
Maybe there should be.
Maybe
They're going to call it.
Matthews. Marner looking for Kerfoot. Now Matthews picks it free. This is back to Kerfoot to Riley. Morgan Riley back across to Nylander. Nylander to Riley. Nylander swings it down to Marner. Drops it back. Matthews is all teed up for the one-timer.
That's a set play, Gord. They've done that a couple times. Marner sliding behind the net, trying to get Matthews coming downhill.
Centering pass for Kerfoot. That's blocked. Rebound, score! Nylander! That's 2 for him. And another power play goal for Toronto.
This is some kind of shot from William Nylander. He's had himself a night as he's got the puck on a string. There's a set play they've been working on. Marner behind the net to Matthews. Broken up nicely, but as the play continues, William Nylander eventually walks into this broken play in front. Cross-body one-timer. Rotates his hips around and then squares it up what is that, crossbar post back of the net. He has been lights out good from puck drop in this game.
4 goals in 4 preseason games for William Nylander. 2 tonight. And that theme continues, Mike. Toronto had the #1 power play in the regular season last year. Detroit was the worst penalty killing team.
And they've done it all preseason without Tavares, this time without Bunting. And there's such a great field between Riley, Nylander, Matthews, Marty. You get out there enough. It's been a couple years now. They've been largely together. And just able to create. And then the skill to make those kind of shots.
And the guys in the second power play are like, I guess we don't go out.
Well, they don't ever get a chance to keep scoring before the minute and a half's up. That one's straight out. That one went straight out, I think, on Giordano.
Yeah, so that's going to be a delay of game penalty against Toronto. 12:43 to go in the third.
Right along the
Toronto
glass
penalty
line.
number 55, 2 minutes delay of game.
Drifted into the penalty box. So the power play has been really good. Now Sheldon Keefe's penalty killers get to go to work and get some practice as well. And I joke, you never want penalties, but you don't hate having your penalty kill unit get some work.
Johansson plays that back in for Detroit. Here is Suter as the Red Wings goal for Zadina. Vrana slides that back to Johansson to Vrana. One-time shot, he hammered that wide. And it bounces back down to the Detroit zone. Hansen drops that back to Vrana. And Vrana comes steaming in. Engel got a stick on it. Now Hall pokes it back in the corner. Valeno drops it off to Suter. Back to Valeno. Valeno in for Vrana. Back to Johansson. To Vrana. Holds and feeds that down to Suter. Chance across. Zadina at the goalpost. How'd he miss?
He went back across the grain. It was a tight angle. I think he shot it right through the crease.
Wow.
Even if you do that, you think it's going to bank in and go in the net.
Zadina looked back. He was skating off the ice.
He is. Oh, broke his stick right beside me. Very frustrated with that miss. That's the kind of thing, though, a goal scorer, they need that to go in.
Right.
For his own confidence, as much as anything.
Here's McIsaac with it. Hannes. Tied up there by Kerfoot.
Oh, good patience.
Now chipped in by Aubé-Kubel. Final seconds of the power play. One shot for Detroit in that man advantage. Muzzin up for Nylander. William Nylander winds in. Nylander. Sharp angle, in shoots. And he was looking. It deflects up and out of play. Two-time Academy Award winner Hilary Swank stars in one of the most anticipated dramas of the season, Alaska Daily. All new Thursday, 10, 8 Mountain, only on CTV. On Saturday night, in this part of downtown Toronto. Not so sure it was so fun a couple of blocks away, but
Sports calendar turns. Now it's hockey and basketball time.
Sandin up for Gaudette. Malgin drops that back to Matthews. Great pass back to Gaudette. Walks right in, shoots. It goes off a skate and wide. This is Matthews with Gaudette and Malgin.
Nylander off a quick change.
Giovanni Smith walks it and shoots. Murray makes the stop on that and is able to hang on. 4-1, Toronto leads. Gaudette had a good look a moment ago on Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey on TSN. Fun time here on a Saturday night, and Raptors Tangerine Basketball is back October 19th with the Raptors home opener here at Scotiabank Arena as the Raps take on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Coverage on the way at 7 Eastern here on TSN.
This wave's got some staying power. It's been going on the entire break.
We talked about this is a different crowd than you'd see in a regular season game, and it's great. A lot of kids here.
Audibly sounds differently. You're right. A higher pitch, kind of more youthful tones to the screaming. Much more like my voice.
Aubé-Kubel.
They got to call the interference there on Comp. Yeah.
Suter got taken down.
He was trying to hold the blue line, Gord, and they didn't want to call it, but then Suter went crashing in the boards, became a 2-on-1. They have to call that.
2 minutes interference.
Another penalty for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And Keefe doesn't want any more work. We've already seen a few, but there's the bump right there, and it's kind of a nudge from behind. But the fact that Comp stayed on his feet and it turned into a 2-on-1 forced the call. Those ones, if everyone falls, they probably don't blow it down.
So the Wings back to the power play here with 9:38 to go in the third period. So Hansen drops it back to Zadina. Here's Johansson to Verana. Figures to be a major part of the Wings' power play. Zadina sings it back across. Suter turned away in tight by Murray. Verana drops it back to Johansson. To Verana. In shoots. Murray the stop. Suter taps it back to Verana. Verana directing traffic.
He wants Zadina, but he can't get it to him.
Johansson back to Zadina. It's back across. Verana center the tip line by Suter. Now Kerfoot on it, chops it back down the ice.
You can read Verana's eyes. He was just staring at Zadina, asking him to shuffle a little bit, find a seam. So Verana could try to get him the puck through it.
Zadina had a great look a moment ago. Picked up by Zadina around to Andreasen. Cut up along the boards by Aston Reese. Giordano. And picked up to Aston Reese. He's got Engvall with him short-handed. Engvall in a roll and walks in. And he's stopped by Victor Brattström.
Save.
Engvall and Brattström. The Swedes going nose to nose, and Brattström turns him away.
He opened him up, but Brattström got him with the back pad, kind of closing up the 5-hole. Engvall opened him up, but as the puck was going through, Brattström squeezed it up, squeezed it closed.
Isaac drops that back. Brought in by Peregrine. Jonathan Peregrine plays it back around. Alice swings that down, and Giordano gets to it. Comp steps back on the ice. One shot for Detroit in that power play. Aubé-Kubel knocks it back to center ice. Muzzin drops it back to Brody. Jake Muzzin banks that ahead. Herbert moves in. 2 Leafs converge on him, including Austin Matthews. Aubé-Kubel up for Muzzin. Muzzin and Matthews busting in. Matthews trying to chip that back in front for Bunting. Back it goes to Muzzin. And Riley a long shot that goes wide. Marner back on it. To Matthews. Swings it back to Riley. Back to Sandin. Bunting fighting for space in front. Riley back for Matthews. Now Sandin in shoots. That was blocked by Chris Colo. That attempt goes up and out. It deflected.
Straight out, I think, Gord.
Well, I can say the linesman said deflected, but no, the referee says straight out, so penalty against Detroit.
Detroit 42, minor penalty, delay game.
So one either way here in the third period.
More chances for Toronto here in the third period. One short-handed, nice one-handed pass from Aston Reese up to Engvall. Fakes the shot, opens up 5-hole. But quick left leg gets back underneath and kind of squeezes it back shut. Great look at here from Bradstrom. He knows it's going through. Oh, and there he squeezes the shot. And here's Scorlo, just sails on him. But prior to that, not easy to create offense. There was a big-time battles going on in front. Bunting and Marner.
2 for 3 on the power play. Matthews and Nylander have the goals. Then comes Marner. Swings around Lindstrom, drops that back to Nylander. To Marner. Trying to bank that back in. Riley drops it back. Matthews shoots, scores! Austin Matthews, another power play goal. It's 5-1. That second unit is never getting on.
Why even go to the power play meetings at this point? My goodness. And you think about all the different ways they're attacking. No two looks are the same. The goals are not the same. This one, Mitch Marner, really nice job. Takes this and goes goal line attack right across the front. Tried to shovel it over Morgan Riley. Now Morgan Riley's down on the back door. And Austin Matthews, the shooter, just hanging out front. Top of the slot. And able to one-time that one up and over for the goal. But as a penalty killer, if you know what they're going to do, if you can read it, gives you a chance. But if they're switching up the way they play every single time, it's very difficult to cover with that kind of skill.
Morgan Riley with his 3rd assist of the game. And as does Mitch Marner. They both draw assists on that goal. So the Leafs flexing their offensive muscles.
Now, let's not forget, this is Detroit's thinned out roster. So Toronto should be able to trade offense and score some goals.
They did okay against regular NHL opposition last year.
Yeah.
Number 2 in the league in goals for. Only Florida had more. That's going to be one to watch in Florida. I mean, they led the league in points, they led the league in goals, but they make a gigantic deal in the offseason. Make a coaching change.
Did they overreact to one series loss against a 2-time Stanley Cup defending champ? Going to revamp their whole team?
Hard to say. I mean,
got to figure they won't do quite as well as last year. Although still probably be a good team.
2 100-point players traded for each other.
That every day. Anthony Duclair also out for the first couple months with a torn Achilles for Florida. That'll hurt some of their scoring depth.
But Toronto brings back a lineup that scored so much for the most part. The key components of it. And with John Tavares close to coming back, here's the lead pass for Aubin-Cabell. Aston Reese, Aubin-Cabell shoots! And the save made by Bradstrom. He'll pounce on that rebound. 4:23 to go here in the third period. Austin Matthews coming off a record-breaking goal-scoring season. Lighting up here again tonight as the regular season beckons. London games, the Giants and the Packers, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 a.m. Pacific on TSN and CTV. The mighty G-men. Well, I say that.
And here we go. Not trying to rub anything in, but they're trying to experiment. And that was a good time. 4 forwards, Mitch Marner playing defense. William Nylander going to the wing at 5-on-5.
Riley back with it. Long shot bounced through. And Johansson chips it back out.
So now I kind of want to see a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2 with Marner back there. Like see how does he deal with it? Because we know in the offensive zone it's not going to be an issue. Toronto basically plays positionless hockey in the offensive zone. There's a lot of interchanges with defensive activate. Forwards have free reign to hang out and make plays at the blue line, so no problem there. It's more what happens when it goes the other way. Are you going to be okay?
So Toronto looking to improve to 5-2 in the preseason. Bunting back with it. Matthews reaching for it for Nylander. One remains out there on the blue line as Riley picks it up. Poked ahead by Nylander. Bunting plays it back in deep. Matthews back to Riley. Back to Marner, winding and shoots. And a stop made by Bratzville. Ultimately slides that across to Johansson. And the Red Wings will change. Lindstrom plays it back around. Engvall battles for it. Engvall injured his ankle prior to training camp. So like Muzzin and Sandin to an extent, they got to look late in training camp and try to catch up. As Ernie comes busting in, Murray makes the stop on that rebound, put wide by Suter. Sandin out for Jarnkrok, bangs that back to center right. Engvall was trying to sweep that for Kerfoot. In comes Kerfoot. Winds in, nifty move, shoots, goes off the skate of Lindstrom. And gathered back up by Berggren and played back out. Roster deadline is Monday. Teams must be cap compliant by then. So your 23-man roster, put anyone that's going on injured reserve.
But what happens on Monday doesn't necessarily mean it has to be that way on Wednesday.
Oh, exactly. But you have to be cap compliant on Monday. But that fires that wide. Saw a lot of familiar names on the waiver wire the other day. We'll see more tomorrow and Monday in all likelihood.
Andreas Johnsson.
Yes.
Former Maple Leaf New Jersey Devil on the waivers. I think he went unclaimed.
He did, yeah. This is probably the best time of the year to try to sneak someone through waivers. Everyone's...
Or the worst time as a player to go on waivers because everyone's in the same jam of too many players and not enough money to go around.
And here is Riley with it. And the other factor that shouldn't be overlooked was the successful preseason of Matt Murray.
Like an offensive line, the less we talk about him, the better things are going.
Takes 65 shots in 3 preseason games, allowed just 2 goals. In the final minute now of the 3rd period. Kampf with it. The prevailing narrative, Mike, is that the regular season is kind of meaningless for Toronto. Only the playoffs will matter. Robert Cabell comes in. But there's a lot to be done in the regular season.
Yeah, I think that narrative is because the assumption is they'll make the playoffs. And then they'll be judged on whether it's a successful season or not.
Right.
But maybe there's something you said about trying to finish first if you're Toronto.
Yeah. So the Leafs go to 5-2 in the preseason, a 5-1 win over Detroit. They sweep both ends, or they split both ends of the home and home. Next stop, the season opener Wednesday in Montreal, the home opener Thursday here on TSN against Washington.
Top players in Toronto came to play, even against a thin roster. Marner, Matthews, Nylander, Murray, they were all dancing early, play with intensity and pace, the kind of game they'll need to play to be successful all year long. Good last preseason game for the Leafs.
Matt Murray and company now heading for the regular season. And a long year ahead, but one that'll be full of storylines. From Mike Johnson, Mark Masters, all of us at TSN, I'm Gordon Miller. Thanks for tuning in. DeMolson and Canadian Leafs hockey. We'll see you Thursday for the Leafs home opener against the Washington Capitals. Now stand by for Sports Center with Kelsey Bray.